I've been posting really violent shark photography right now. And I
like what do you like when
love,
they eat a tuna or something like that, or
they eat a billfish. Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we'll be right next to the boat and a 500-pound mako will come up and have a lunch. It is so.
And how did it start out? Like, what was the origin story?
Too much alcohol.
Really? Okay.
Says if God wanted us to have fiberglass boats, he would have given us fiberglass trees.
It's for fishermen. It's not for taking the wife and the wife's friends.
I think that it's a really, really pretty boat.
And then there was a blur that went by and ended up in the cockpit, as far as if I can remember correctly.
Hey everybody, Anthony Pino from Hook Optics and the 64 Case and Blood Money out of Ocean City, Maryland. Nick couldn't be with us today. He had some sort of boat thing going on, which is typical of fucking boats. So today we have our Hindmarsh, the podcast professional marketer and photographer. It's done some pretty cool work that I've seen over the years. This is my first time meeting Harry, but I've seen his work and I think it's really, really incredible stuff that you do.
It's crazy how many people we have in common though, man. It's a small world in the bill fishing world, really small.
Yeah. So Harry, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you got into what you do, marketing, and then your pretty awesome work with the film and the photography with the sportfish boats and the rest of it.
Thank you.
Industry altogether.
Well, I come from an art background. I'm an artist, an illustrator, a photographer. Those are my passions. I don't know if you can see behind me, but this is my studio.
That's incredible.
I paint, I draw, and I love it. I also happen to be a fishing junkie. And so what I wanted to do was take my passion for my passion for photography and fish a lot. And so my parents weren't rich really growing up, and that's fine. But I never turned down an opportunity to go fishing, and my dad always had friends that fished, and one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I was just riding along, and I was a really good fisherman. I was a really good photographer. I thought I got to marry the two. And I just started really digging deep, and leads you to shooting tournaments, that leads you to meeting boat builders, that leads you to meeting everybody from Release Marine to everybody in the industry. It's a very small group, and luckily in my professional life, I owned a marketing firm, so I could not only do the photography for these people, but I could also do their marketing, their videos, their social media, and it was a perfect marriage made in heaven. I really know fishing. I really know boats, and I really know photography. And so for that little category, whether we're selling mega yachts or, Albemarle style boats, or, it doesn't matter. I know them. I run them, I own them. And so it was a good fit. And it just was a category that I thought I could do well in and represent my work and my clients really well. And that just led to magazines and covers. And that's kind of the story. And, I do the Fish On magazine in your neck of the woods. And I love it up there. So with my home base being, there's Ocean City, Virginia Beach, and Outer Banks, like I'm an hour and a half away from the best fleets in the world. So I get to move around, and it's been great to be on the decks of some of the best captains around the country right here in my backyard. And I just love shooting. I just can't get enough of it, really.
Are you more, I'm familiar with your work when it comes to video. Just the videos you've done with the Baylesses, and I don't know if they're still up on Vimeo or not, but you can kind of Google Bayless Boatworks and find these incredible videos of you guys shooting sometimes early in the morning or late in the day. Getting some pretty incredible shots of just John's incredible work and the attention to detail that goes in from him. Is that more what you do, or are you both photography, video, whatever you can do?
Both photography and video. The video stuff for John, well, it's always a three-part relationship. We were doing brochure work. We were doing social media, and we needed photography to sell the boat. So we do the static shots. And, it's always, I always had I don't want to say a love-hate, but, I always got the boat right when it was leaving John's hands, delivered to the owner. So for that hour, day, or week, I had full run of a $15, $28, $1 million yacht all to myself, and say, okay, turn it around. I want to shoot this, and now we're going to do that. So it was really really fun. And John, I loved when John wasn't there, because John thinks everything is a one take thing. He's like, okay, I'm going to run the boat by you and we're going to have the sunrise and everything's going to be good. Like, no, doesn't work that way. So we have to wait for the timing. So I always enjoyed when it's just me and the captain and the mates. And so we'd go to, whether it's Costa Rica or Palm Beach or wherever the boat was, and basically do the shoot, and then we hand it to the owner. And it was really great experience. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it, and they're just incredible memories, because it is such a small group of people that get to experience those yachts, man. It is, and I try to shoot it with the respect to showcase John's work, but also to showcase what that owner has just bought. And it's been really fun, and I've made some really good friends through that industry as well. So
nice. And then, I mean, so where did it all start when you started to get into the like the magazine shooting? What year, when, how old were you? And
so I'm aging myself a little bit, because I turned 50 recently. And I don't know, I'm gonna have to go back a little bit further. I think it was probably around 2004, 2005. My marketing firm, I was doing ad work for things I didn't want to do. I'm sorry, I don't want to work for pharmaceutical companies. Nothing against it. I was doing banking ads, and I was doing TV ads for car dealerships. And I don't know, my passion just wasn't there. And I had a partner at the time. I said, Kevin, I don't want to do this anymore. He said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to find a way to fund me being around yachts and boating and fishing. And he said, well, just go do it. And it was that simple. And he and I actually bought the Pirates Cove Billfish tournament and ran it for a few years.
Okay.
And that was, in hindsight, it was a blessing and a curse. It was a very tough time. The recession had just hit. Fuel was $300,000 a gallon.
We're living in a similar time right now.
Yeah, it was just a very tough time. But what came from it, John Bayless and I became really good friends. Paul Mann and I became really good friends. Richie Howe. And then all of a sudden, Paul Spencer, and then Release Marine, and that wonderful world just kind of kept coming together. And so it just went from boat shoots to now I'm doing their brochures, and social media was really coming on, and we were able to kind of take the company direction from, I don't want to say corporate America, to the marine industry, but it kind of split from my company doing the corporate America, and I went to the marine industry. And like I said, you can't kind of do that. You really need to know boats. You need to know beam and length to beam ratio. You need to know what, bulkheads. You need to know what it is you're selling. You need to know where the water breaks in the front of the house on a running shot. I want to know where the shear line drops, where the white water hits. I want to know, it's little things like that you can hire a photographer, but he's not going to get that angle. I want to make sure I'm taking my knowledge of photography, which is lens compression, lens choice. I'm a big fan of wide lenses close to the boat to stretch it out. If you got the wrong guy, those boats look this big. If you got the right lens, so I just really started trying to capture these things correctly. And I don't know, that kind of led to, well, you're going to go here for a week and we might as well fish for 2 or 3 days. And then that led to the Billfish photography. But the Billfish photography came way before that. I just didn't great. You guys like Scott Kerrigan and Pat Ford and Richard Gibson and all these guys that were the old school guys. I just didn't know if my work compared. And I don't know, I just felt like I needed something different. And I think that's one of the things I was going to talk about is a lot of guys get cameras and they shoot, and that's great. Because I come from a marketing background where I've got to put total focus on a tractor or a bus or a plane, whatever it is I'm selling. I started shooting billfish in that manner. Like all my billfish shots or tuna above water or my dolphin, they're very singular focused. They're very depth of field oriented, and they're high compression shots. So there's blurry in the front, a clear fish, and blurry in the back. There's a lot of things I'm trying to do, and it's really hard. And so at the end of the day, they're hard shots to nail, but when I nail them, they're second to none. Second to none. And now it's kind of been my hallmark. So then I started getting confidence, and you start getting covers, and all of a sudden, it all starts coming together. And so I've been blessed because that industry has led me to, my stuff is like in Hilton hotels and airports and restaurants and Starbucks. And so this kind of work I'm doing can't be run of the mill photography. Like now it's got to be shot with the sun behind me. The color's got to be right. And it has to be pure, unique. Like I'm really looking, quite frankly, for the things that you and I see as a captain. I mean, I'm really, really picky. Like I'm shooting fish that aren't hooked. Like I love when I see a sail top finning. I love when, I see a bill come out of the water, just tapping the bait. Like that's stuff I'm looking for.
For me, that I think people that can capture that moment of when you first see the fish, I think that is the most special moment in all of bill fishing, and I think it's got to be incredibly difficult to capture. I mean, I tried it with a GoPro in the Dominican last 2 months, and I couldn't. I got one decent fish that come on the teaser, and kind of the light was in the right side, and I could see his body, but the rest of it is garbage. I mean,
so
and then that's got to be incredibly. Do you kind of sit there at the ready, like as if you were fishing, literally camera ready to rock until that thing shows itself?
So two things that I have to attribute to my success. I cautiously say I'm a captain. We go and I fish and I run the boat and it's great, but I'm not a charter guy and I'm not a private guy that goes all the time. So what that has taught me is it's taught me how to read the water and read the line. And the best part of photography is I can see in the water. If you can't see fish before everybody else does, you've got a problem. And so what I try to do is when I get there, I'm on the transom the whole day. Literally, I'm just there with my camera, literally like 1 minute I'm pre-focused. So let's say I do this a lot, and I'll ask whoever I'm with, hey, where have your bites? Have they been on the short, left long? Like where are you getting hit? And the captain will say, well, the last 8 or 10 fish have come, let's say left short. Okay, so I'll get on the right side of the transom and I'll wait on that teaser and that line, and I'll pre-focus. That's the key. Is so I'm already pre-focused, so it's literally up a bit. It's a split second, but I can see in the water. And one of the nice things about these newer boats, there's so little prop wash and they're just clear. And so if there's a shadow or there's a highlight, chances are there's a fish behind that. And so not a lot of guys can see, and I'm not even calling it. I mean, I'll see the fish before the mate or the captain sometimes, and they'll know there's a fish there because I'm shooting. And so that's the real pride that I have. It's like, oh, I got this guy, I'm on it. And and I'll see him come up, and at that point the traffic starts going on behind me. And so I'm trying to get those.
So when you're shooting, like you're not back in the cockpit, you're on like as close as you can get to get it. Gotcha. Interesting.
And that's really, now when you see the photography I sent, there's another trick I'm showing you, and I can't do this with every captain, but a lot of times I'll open the tuna door and lay on my belly, shooting at water level. That's really what I want. So the sun getting at the water horizon is right there, and the fish is shooting up versus me shooting down.
Interesting.
So when you see that stuff, it looks like I'm in the water. In my younger days, I used to be in the water, but these shots are all really highly premeditated. And as inevitably, if I'm focused on one area, I do get those shots, but a fish will come anywhere. So you just have to be ready. I try to focus fast. I try to know how to see, and I try to listen to my crew as much as I can. And I've been very blessed to fish with very good people. And I don't like, there's some things I don't like. I don't like fishing during tournaments. Nobody wants a photographer around, I've learned. And once that fish is leadered, it's gone. It's like, oh, this was a waste of time. So I've learned that when to fish, when not to fish, who to talk to. Some captains are much more lenient. There was a guy named Brant Wise. Did you know Brant on the Sailfish?
I feel like I've met Swordfish, right?
Swordfish, sorry,
yeah.
He was out of the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
He loved photography, and he let me do anything. And he was a good guy to go to Isla with. He was a good guy to go offshore with. He's like, I don't care what's going on, let the photographer run the thing. So we got some really great stuff together. But those are, those days are hard to come by. I don't know, my passion for fishing really drives the photography, and then the quality of my work is what drives the stuff. I mean, I'm trying to get unique stuff. I want, the stuff I get and sell, like I said, are going in restaurants and places where it's blown up really big. It's got to be clear. and I'm trying to get the best. I'll go a season and I don't know, get 4 or 5 shots. I'm having a little bit of a personal, I don't know. I wish our East Coast was as hot as the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's hard to get a day or 3 days and only see 2 fish. I mean, that's killing me.
It's tough.
And inevitably, and this is the worst. If Harry Hindmarsh shows up on your boat, you're not going to see Billfish that day because he's got his camera. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the Big O caught 25. Oh, great. Yeah, we went 2 for 12. It's like, it's always inevitable. So in terms of volume, I want white marlin, I want blues, I want sails, and I don't want to have to go to Mexico or Costa Rica to get it. And not because I don't like those places. I want to fish in my backyard.
Yeah.
What I do is a quantity game. I need a lot of fish.
Well, yeah, I was wondering like how many pictures you have to take to get a shot that you feel is up to whatever the standards that you set. Like it's a lot for I mean.
It's a lot.
Just like you said, finding the right time of day. Sometimes your shots, no matter how good the shot is going to be, the time of day or the sun goes behind the cloud or something like that, and you have the right instance, and then you just need, like an angler learning how to fish, you need a lot of shots to get it to.
So that's the real trick.
It,
so you asked me up right now and said, "Hey, dude, I need a Kodak bear. I can go right now to Yellowstone. I can go to a zoo. I can go to Alaska. I can find a bear, and that bear will sit for me all day if I want it to."
Mm-hmm.
When a magazine calls and says, "Man, we need a thumping blue marlin," I have to get that shot. I have to go find the fish. We have to catch the fish, and it's got to be, the conditions have to be right. And so when I do get a shot, that's where I have friends that do focus on that their whole soul is bears, or their whole soul are elk, or there's a but no, there's the guys who have a total focus for a different species or a different animal altogether, and they're able to get it. Man, fishing is no joke. I mean, we have a Viking, so every one day offshore, it's 3 days of work for me, because I got to prep the gear one day, run the boat the second day, then the third day everybody's gone and I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
So, and refueling and doing everything. So it's a tough gig for me personally to get these shots. I mean, it's crazy. I love it though, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. But the shots I'm getting, and hopefully I sent you a bunch to look through. I think some of that stuff is, again, it's not just hook jumping. There's a white at sunrise that I have with the most beautiful pink water because the sky was pink, and it's the stuff like that you're just looking to see, that we see as captains that nobody else can capture. And that's the stuff that really frustrates me. Is I was like, the marine life that's out there, I want to do that justice. I want people to see, oh, that's why you're a captain, or that's why you love doing this. There's so many things. There was one trip we had, I think it was last season. I mean, crystal clear water, I was on my, had my trolling set up top. So we had really clear water. It was really beautiful. There was probably 30 or 40 sharks behind the boat in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like a pecking order, and then they were like stacked 5 down. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I really couldn't photograph it because it was such a wide shot, and had my trolling valves not been in, I don't know if my water would have been as clear, and I never would have saw it. My son got to see it. It was just one of those cool experiences like that you won't see in a zoo, you won't see on National Geographic very often. Those are the hard ones to get.
I find the very, like what you're describing about, like you try to explain to people or show people, and a cell phone picture or even one of your photographs, maybe like even is maybe as good as some of your photographs have been, it doesn't really do the whole just being there, and justice. And you try to explain to people that either love fishing or some, maybe, as a private boat captain, I explain people what my job is, and they're like, what? Like, they don't really if you're not into this, in this little niche, in this little enclave of society with a bunch of lunatics, like, everybody from the owners to the mates are all kind of crazy for this stuff. And if you try to explain that, and then you try to explain what you do, like it's very difficult. And then you to try to explain what you're experiencing and why somebody would spend $3-4 million or more on a boat, then you're like, they're like, oh, you just go out there and let the fish go, and you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's awesome, you know.
It is awesome. And, you know, I try not to have the financial discussion with people of what it costs to catch that fish.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, how much does this boat cost? And how much are you spending in tackle? And that
Yeah.
rod is how much? It's like, it just doesn't, it really doesn't make sense, but it also doesn't comprehend with anybody who's not in that industry.
Yeah, and it's
at
just
all.
yeah, and I could see how, you know, you try to explain that, like, I mean, everybody's got their phone, and sometimes you get lucky and you get a good video or something on the phone, and you're trying to like show somebody this, and it's just not that good, you know. Like you
Yeah,
can
I
have
know.
some, you know, and I think it's really interesting how, you know, how we could portray what actually goes on out there. And there's some great, you know, people do get great cell phone video or something. Sometimes they just get lucky and they get in the right, but it's few and far between, and it's just cool to be able to.
I wish I could tell. If you check out my Facebook page, I've been posting really violent shark photography right now,
Mhm.
and I
Like what do
have
you
a
like when
lot-
they eat a tuna or something like that, or
they eat a billfish. Yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like I mean, we'll be right next to the boat, and a 500-pound mako will come up and have a lunch.
Mhm.
It is so awe-inspiring, terrifying, neat, weird, crazy, all at the same time. And it happens now every trip. It's like I can't. I always love, you know, when my wife or somebody will come on, like, watch this. This will be cool. You know, we're getting to the point where you know, I'm having to change, like I'm having to run my longs really long during tuna season because there's just so many sharks that I can't even get a hookup because they're so down so low. And by the time I get them to the boat, I mean, I'm doing anything I can, and it's amazing to watch those things come in. We've had some great whites last year that were just awesome, and I got well, maybe it was the year before. Got some really great whites taking up some sails and a few whites, and I, you know, it's hard to tell people what that's like, and you know, and I'm a big fan of that O-Search guy where they're tagging all those great whites.
Mhm.
I get that the most. Oh, do you see any great whites? You know, we've all have our own great white story, but I've seen one when I was trolling. It was so big, I actually thought it was either like a shipping container. I said, hey guys, you know, there's either a shipping container, there's something up here floating. We got to check it out. Man, this thing, you know, we have a 48-foot Viking. This thing was ginormous. And, you know, I'm 6'2", 6'3". You could lay three of me sideways. And this thing was, you could have fit three of me in his mouth.
Yeah.
I will never forget that. It is embedded in my mind. And I just pulled up next to it and looked down, and it was that, you know, that Jaws moment where everyone's like, it's a 20-footer. I'm like, it's a 25. I mean, that thing is, these are just great things. And you see a pod of killer whales, and, you know, they come up and circle the boat. Like, I'll tell you this, there's not many things you can do anymore that's like a true adventure. And if I said, hey, let's go look for gold, we're not gonna find gold. If you say, hey, let's go dig up some ancient artifact, I liken going offshore to like a true adventure. And man, those are my knots, my hooks. I found that fish. We caught that fish. I photographed that fish, and I'm getting everybody back. To me, every time we go offshore, it's like it's adventure to me. And that's how I treat it. It's a true pleasure to do it. And I think the difference between riding along with others and then doing it with my program, I don't know, there's a bigger sense of pride.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
and you know, I won't get to bat down at the White Marlin Open or Big Rock with the biggest blue marlin, but it doesn't matter because I actually come back with a different version of the fish that you caught, you know. And you may have the wall hanger, but I guarantee you my shots are the ones that get framed. My shots are the one that go in the books, and my shot's the one that you're sending to your friends. And that's the other pride for me. It's like, you know, the stuff that I'm shooting is ending up in a lot of different places, and it brings me happiness, and it brings other people happiness.
What shots are you most proud of? Maybe because they're to your, what did I say? Your artistic epitome, and like what shots are you most proud of in that? And then what shots are like, could you describe to us and be like, yeah, we seen that one, you know, as people that, you know, that fish and read magazines and spend too much time looking at fish on the internet.
When you look at the photos I sent you, you'll know the work.
Okay.
I mean, let me just grab this behind me. Hold on. Okay, you'll like this. So this is my covers from just last year. I don't know if you can see this.
Ah, okay. That thing is amazing. They do a great job in that magazine.
They really do.
I
So
think
here's a
it's-
sail. This one was first morning light. You know, we were out there before sunrise, just cruising along, and boom. So
Looks-
in this episode, you know, so I was shooting specifically. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a full sail, beautiful water. It's way. You know, this is kind of cool because I did all the photography for this group too. So it's nice that, you know, so it's really nice that those kind of go hand in hand.
Where was that?
Yeah,
That looks rough, like it could be in Isla or somewhere.
Yes.
I got
don't
you.
know if you can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
this.
that's
And
amazing. That's so cool to have the feathers up and
yeah.
yeah.
So this is another shot. Like, this is one of the things that I really enjoy is laying low on the transom or on the floor. The wave of the crest is coming up, and then there's a boat in between us.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, and the funny thing is, this made the cover of Big Game, but it also made the cover of Saltwater Sportsman. I just like how they crop them differently.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
You know, so each art director kind of has their own
Yeah.
approach to it. And you know, here's a tuna busting with the baits right there.
Mhm.
Like
Wow.
that's the stuff
That's
I'm
the
trying
shot.
to get.
Yeah.
You know, where this is, you're not going to get this by seeing it and then pulling your camera up.
No,
This is
you
me
got to be
standing on
ready
the
there.
transom, ready to go. Those yellowfin, I didn't see this fish. I heard, man, here's a school of yellowfin coming through. I just waited, and boom, about 5 of them came through. He was the third one, came up, he whacked that bait, and I was like,
Where
that's
was
the shot.
Where was that at?
This is off Virginia Beach, actually.
Oh wow, gotcha. Cool.
You know, I've been really blessed off our coast, man.
Mhm.
Norfolk Canyon, all your sunny grounds, my sunny grounds. I do make the most of it. I really, my favorite year though was probably 3 or 4 years ago. All those lobster pots were at the tip of the Norfolk Canyon. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that, but man, those were the best days because we would load up and I could go out there and go, oh man, let's just pick off some tunas, some mahi real quick. We'll run over here and hit the big eye hole and come back at noon when all these mahis are being eaten by whites. And man, it was just, I don't know. I had record number of we did great that year.
Yeah.
And I think of stuff like that all the time. And I've never really been able to recreate that. The water was clear. We had a lot of east winds and a lot of tuna that year, a lot of billfish, a lot of marlin. It was great. I enjoy it. That's the stuff that I wish I could do every day. You know,
Yeah.
that's the good stuff. Everything's always there. You know, your chart flyer, you just turn it on. Everything does the work for you. It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else. My fishing prowess got better going to the West Coast, though. I remember going to Costa Rica for the first time
Mhm.
and sitting up at the helm and going, oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. I didn't know they're doing that. And, you know, I love the orchestration in the cockpit. It's
Mhm.
like you get some guys that run together. And actually after that, I came home and got our crew headphones because I realized it was such a better orchestration of what was going on. It's calm captains saying, hey, there's gonna be 2 more fish back there. Run that right long over to the left long clip, run it back. I'm going,
That would
"Oh."
be something really cool to see. I think some people, I've been fortunate enough to be a mate on some of those similar programs and being
Yeah.
able to work a pit. And we're on the Blood Money, we're getting to the point now where I'm running the boat, and you know, on the good days when we're all firing like we were last year, you know, we could make that happen. We don't get the fishing like we had that in Costa Rica or other places like that, but that would be a really cool progression to capture one day. Like, I don't know how you'd probably need a couple different cameras.
Well, you
know?
would, and the story to me wasn't told until I really witnessed it, because I'll try to recreate a scenario. So you're fishing and boom, left long goes down, we go into a turn. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're kind of, oh, I think there's 2 fish back there. You check the monitor. Oh, we're marking 2, but I'm seeing 3. And I love an angler that stays calm. And in this particular case, we had 2 mates. One cleared the lines, the other reset the lines as we were hooking a
Fishing.
fish, and then all of a sudden, hand off, we got another one. Okay, now hand off another one.
Yeah.
And then you have a whole process of working 2 or 3 fish while you're resetting
Yeah.
and potentially picking up more. And that was a schooling for me for sure. And I thought, man, if I could come home and apply that to the white bite, it has worked, but it's hard to just teach that. Like I said, I came home, I got everybody on speaker, and I'm no longer yelling anymore.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, my business partner, who is like a father, brother, best friend, he's got the bigger financial investment in the boat, and he brings friends all the time, but they're not necessarily anglers.
Mhm.
So the best thing for the headphones for me have been like, hey man, this guy's standing there with a gaff out. Can you please have him sit down? Can you please put that thing back? We're not gaffing a white marlin. It's just, and I don't have to yell that anymore. And it's so nice because I can say, hey, we got a tangle back there. Let's get it's just so nice. And I thought you had to have a 90-foot boat to have them, but I'm gonna tell you,
No, I love it. We do instead of having the headsets where everybody wears one, I just have a headset that goes to the speakers downstairs. The conversation only goes one direction, which makes it better for me. But I know that they're saying stuff down there, but I don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's typically they're just annoyed with that we haven't got a bite in 5 hours. But
yes, I know that one all too well as well.
But yeah, it's a super cool tool, and it does, like, it's hard to, like you were saying, bring that style, or not that style fishing, because it's the same style fishing, and there's boats up here that do it. They're a lot of the time the same boats that do it down there that they do up here that do really well. But there's a lot of pressure that's involved in going and maybe seeing the 3 or 4 whites that you're going to see.
Yeah.
And you know that if you do those things in Costa Rica that you've learned in those places where you get a lot of bites, you will catch more fish. But it's hard to implement that with people that don't get to see what we've been fortunate enough to see.
Yeah, and we also don't have the numbers.
You just don't want to let that one go.
No.
When you throw it into a turn, and you reorganize the spread to keep on fishing while you have 1 or 2 fish hooked, you're taking a risk of losing the fish you already have. And Ocean City, Virginia Beach, Oregon Inlet, depending on how the fishing is, some days you can be out there and you're like, we got to keep on turning because there'll be another one. But some days you're like, this is it. This is our one bite.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, the last couple of years, the fish have been moving through, to me, a little bit differently. Like, do you know who Randy Butler on the Rebel is?
Yeah.
He live baits a lot,
Mhm.
and he'll come back with 16 flags one day and 8 and then 10 doing what he's doing. And everybody will try to fish around him and pick those fish off. But I'm not seeing, so this is probably a broader discussion that we probably should have. And I don't even know why I'm going to mention this, but let me come back to that.
Yeah.
So let's say 2006 and 7, like tag and release, and mainly just releasing these fish was the big movement. We're going to not do kill tournaments.
And
We're
circle
gonna start
hooks.
releasing. Yes, circle hooks are coming in. We've got to release these fish. I can tell you, living here in Hampton Roads, I'm also an absolute red drum nut. And I remember fishing those fish almost to extinction. Man, today you can walk across the Chesapeake Bay on the backs of these fish. There's so many. I would have thought at 2022, from the volume of fish we release, you would see stupid white marlin numbers. You would see way more blue marlin. I'm looking at my captain's log from 2007 and 8, and the year is almost the same. It's like in some years I'm seeing less fish. Like, how's that possible? Like, I don't know. It makes me wonder.
I felt like up here in Ocean City last year, we had conditions that were going to lead to it going to be breaking open like we had in 9, 10, 11, 12. I think 13 sucked, but 14 was good. But those 4 or 5 from 09 to 12 was in the mid-Atlantic was incredible. 13 sucked here, but in Oregon Inlet, 13 was amazing. I think it's so much of it is condition oriented from what I've learned studying. I do an incredible, a stupid amount of studying water shots on a macro level from basically from Cape Hatteras to Nantucket. And so much of it is the stars aligning and having, a lot of east wind, like you mentioned before, consistent weather, that when you do have the right piece of water, a weather system doesn't come in and ruin it. When things are I've had years where things start to come together and then you get a blow out of the southwest and the northwest and it just gets ruined, So I think a lot of that has to do with conditions and just the overall thing. The crazy thing about being down there in the Norfolk where they live bait is the water can be as green as the water I've fished at Ocean City the last couple trips, and they could be there, if the bait's there and things are right, they'll be there come August, September. I'm convinced at this point with the way our water looks up here and the water to the northeast that we'll be living from the Washington down below the Norfolk. I just know that we'll be fishing that. But I think for the crazy numbers, the crazy numbers that we typically would find offshore in 1,000 fathoms or something, I think it's condition oriented. And I wish I could, look at a satellite shot in March and be like, this is going to be a good year. And some years I do. And some years I'm like, this is going to be a good year. And that piece of water, when it gets to the Wilmington Canyon, will have piles of white marlins in it. And sometimes it does. And then sometimes it all looks great. Last year was baffling to me because we had decent enough water and it seemed like there was a lot of bait. And it just never, we were fortunate last year, but for the fleet overall, it didn't come together where, I remember when I was fishing on a charter boat, we were chunking tunas on an inshore spot in Ocean City, and it kind of dried up really quickly. We caught a couple. This is 2011. The captain was like, all right, let's just like run 5 miles offshore and then troll off to the Baltimore Canyon and probably catch 2 or 3 white marlins this afternoon. Damn, if we didn't go 2 for 3, like there was a section of time where it was easier to catch a marlin than it was a tuna. And it's not that right in Ocean City right now. If you catch anything, you're a hero. But I think much of it is condition oriented.
I agree and I understand, but I just would have thought we would be seeing bigger numbers of marlin. I just would have thought we would have seen more for the volume that we were supposed to be releasing. I don't really know where I'm going with that, other than the fact that I don't want to have to keep flying to the West Coast to get the volume of shots I need. I want to get them here. I want to fish with you. I want to fish with my friends. I want to take my own program and go and feel great about it. That's the thing. I just absolutely love it out there. It's great to walk down the dock in Ocean City, Oregon Inlet, or here, and see good people and great programs, and we'll go from tournament to tournament and see the same people. It's neat. It's a cool thing. It's a very small group. That's, I don't want to say privileged, but it's a privileged group to be a part of. It's nice to have friends all up and down all over the world, actually. And these boats have gotten so amazing. Oh my goodness, it is. And in full disclosure, we sold our 48 about 2 months ago, but it was your 56, I believe, that you had last year or 2 years ago.
We sold that 3 years ago.
So it was your boat, the 3 we saw here 3 years ago. Steve and I went out to dinner and he's like, man, let's just look at the size of the 56. So, So now we're on the hunt for a 56.
Gotcha.
So
it's
right
a great,
now on Boatless, it is a great boat. And we looked at buying yours, but we unfortunately had to sell ours before we can qualify to do this. So now we're Boatless. And if you have anyone has a 56 that they want to part with, we're gladly looking. So, but the 56, I'm eager to get under my feet and fish.
It's
that's gonna be.
You can do so much with that. We took it to Mexico a couple times, and I love that boat because I felt like it was anymore 56 footer is a small package, but that was the biggest small package you could do with a lot of range and a lot of comfort. Did it ride?
That's the big thing.
I thought it rode fine for what it was, and for what you lose in that ride, you gain in space and buttons that work, stuff like that.
We went from a 30 to a 43 Express, and then thought, okay, we're 48. We're just going to be the happiest guys in the world. Man, that 48 has less rod storage, bait storage, and any kind of storage than we did on the 43. And then when we started traveling, it's not enough space. So
Yeah.
the 56, I think, is going to hopefully check all those boxes for me personally. And you know, I'm really looking forward to stumbling into one. I don't know. I love it so much. It is, you know, are you going to be fishing all the Ocean City tournaments this
Yeah.
year?
Yep. Yeah.
I'll be up there shooting. I'd like to bum a ride with you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
If we can. I know a lot of private programs are fun.
My guys would love to have you. They're I mean, Bill, my uncle Bill Pino, and one of the owners,
I have
Pete.
a lot of his product, by the way.
Yeah. They Uncle Bill hasn't shot photography like he used to. He used to be super into it. Pete is super into the videos, and it'd be cool to see for him to see what you have to do to, you know, because he's got a great camera and he pulls it out. You know, he tries to fish and film at the same time, which is very difficult, almost impossible. So but it would be cool. I think he would really enjoy having you on the boat just to kind of pick your brain a little bit. And
Well, let's do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it is I've been blessed to go with some great people. I think if you could ride along with some folks, you know, the Big O group is a real great group to fish with. And there's another great group, Clean Sweep, Charles and Sharon Miller. That was probably one of the coolest trips I've ever done. We flew to Panama and met up with their bailiffs. We spent an entire week offshore on generator, pulling into the Tropic Star Lodge in that little bay there, and never coming off generator for a solid week. I thought, man, you talk about an adventure. I will never have an experience like that again.
Yeah.
And the cooking was fantastic. The fishing was fantastic. Sharon and her husband are unbelievable anglers, and the volume of fish that we were able to catch, it's like, I need to be a part of this, and I don't know how. Like, how can I this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the moments I just love. And I got, you know, a lot of those shots you'll see in Marlin Magazine and Angler's Journal, and they get around. I one of them's in a Starbucks in Florida, and one is you know, I do like seeing what these shots end up as, because when most people see my shots, they're, oh, there's a beautiful marlin. That's a day of my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was me up at 3 a.m., whether it was on my program or riding along. There's always a story behind it. So it's weird for me. Like when I see that, the recall I have mentally is, oh my God, yeah, that was Venezuela, and those were 10-foot waves, and that was an ass kicker. And, you know, the $1,000 or whatever I made to get that shot, I don't even think it's worth it, you know, for the volume of holding on I had to do or whatever. But, you know, it's neat, man. It's a great thing to be a part of. You know, I'm not a famous angler, I'm not a famous captain, but I make a lot of those guys famous with these shots, and it's neat to be a part of some of these programs. It's an honor, and like I said, I can't get enough of it. I really enjoy it.
Well, we'll have to make that work. It's not a long drive, and we actually, since the fishing is so bad here right now, I was just talking to the other owner, Bill, today. He was like, what do you think about going to Virginia Beach for a little bit? And I was like, if you want to go to Virginia Beach, just say the word. I'll be in Virginia Beach, man. So
Well, you come down here, man, I will give you the tour, and we'll welcome you with open arms. You come to the studio, and we can really, you know, I'd love for you to come down and hopefully there's a lot going on south. I mean, you can leave here and get to
and that's the thing. We didn't really want to deal with the inlet, and I was like, well, you know, Oregon Inlet or where they're fishing right now and around there is just a regular Ocean City day from Virginia Beach, you know. So and we benefit from that actually both ways. So when the bite's in your neck of the woods, it's a jaunt up, and if it's a bite south, we run south. That's why I kind of, fishing wise, you know, everyone's like, well, are you going to move to Florida? Nah, I like it here because our inshore fishery is unbelievable. Do you do a lot of that?
Cobia man. I'm a trout fanatic. I'm a cobia fanatic. I'm a red drum lunatic. I mean, you know, and that's really honestly what led me to the offshore stuff, because I was getting those grip and grin is what we call them, and those were just going in. I was getting a few covers. And it wasn't until I was getting offshore, I was like, man, that's really what I would do. But I would say from 2007, 8, 9, maybe I took a little break at 12, 13, man, I was probably fishing 108, 110 days a year. You know, I would get up early and try to get that afternoon bite, or vice versa. I'd work late so I could get up early the next day and go. Have my boats either in the water or on a trailer, like fully loaded. I mean, I was gung ho. And I can't tell you how important that was to my offshore experience, but to the photography experience. It all works. Like I said, it's either in your blood or it's not.
Yeah.
Like I would go, if I was a millionaire, I would do it. If I was broke, I would do it. I just love it. I don't know why. I just love it. There's something about interacting with the live fish that, you want to talk about alien life. It's here. It's underneath us. I can hold this thing and I can put it back alive. I don't have to harvest it. I don't have to kill it. And there's something about that mentality where interacting with a live animal that I can hold and caught and capture. Like I can't go to a zoo and pet this thing. Like you have to earn it, man.
Yeah,
that's what I love about being offshore or doing any kind of fishing. It is a hunt. It is an adventure. It's a man's world. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, and you said, like, especially up here, like, I mean, the people to the north are even more crazy than we are, but like, you got to earn it here. Like, you're gonna go out and spend a lot of time and money, and while you're learning and not catch anything and be in what you think is the right spot, which is not the right spot, and just be in a giant desert until you understand how it all works and how you earn it. I did find that we were in the Dominican and we were like, everybody earns it in their certain way, like in the Dominican, it's just hellaciously rough every day, and you're like, oh, we're going 5 miles, but it's still rough. They're like
that's how Venezuela was for me, man. It was almost too rough for me to handle.
Yeah, the Puerto Rican guys from the Doña Lucy, they were like, you don't fish when it's rough up in Ocean City? It's like, I mean, to a point, but we don't go 4 miles. Like, we can't go fishing in this nonsense, It's we got 2 hours to go before we even think about stopping, So it was it's really interesting when you say something like everywhere. I feel like everybody earns it. Like, you go to Mag Bay, you got to earn it because you got to leave Cabo and drive your ass all the way up there, Yeah. So it is incredible fishing, but you gotta get there, and that's part of it. So
I'm hoping to do that this year. It's on my bucket list. I've got 2 loose options there. So I'm trying to make them not loose here very soon. And I would love to be a part of that bite. God.
Highly recommended. I think you're, from a photography standpoint. I've been there 3 times, and I don't typically, I stop. I'm not really worried about, because we don't fish on our boat there. So I don't always run the boat. So typically I just stay up in the tower and just watch. And like when they go down and you're just up in the tower and they're not on the birds anymore and you're just trolling fishing like we would here, and they're just popping up left and right, that's cool. But then if you just look around, just way up in the tower of the last trip I was there was the 61 Viking, and you'll just see 1 or 2 just cruising, not on the surface, but you just realize how many fish there are, and that we never know are there. So I think it's so incredible. So
I'm proud of you. I'm envious. I'm trying not to say jealous, but I'm proudly envious, and I definitely want to experience that this year.
You will, man. If it's a cool spot, man, and I think it's like, we've seen fishing like that here on the East Coast, but you only see that for an hour in a year if you're lucky. I mean, that one year where they were cutting off of Oregon Inlet for it seemed like if it blew out of the north for a day in September, they got going again, and they just boats were catching, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 some days. And that was probably as good of white marlin fishing consistently as I've ever seen. I was fortunate enough to be out there on the biggest days in Ocean City, but to have that sort of consistency down there where they were up cutting the entire, most of the day, was incredible, and it does happen here, but
it does. And that's the challenge. It's when our program is up and running and Stephen and I want to go, it's a little bit, it's a choice for me, because I know I can ride along with somebody and I'm going to get some shots. It's hard for me to shoot at the helm, and it's a different, when I'm at the helm, sometimes I'll take my chair back off and I'll just keep my cameras on my seat, and it's hard. Like I said, it's hard. It depends on who's angling.
And it also takes away, if you're the captain, so you're the guy in charge of putting the boat in the right spot. And I finally realized a couple of years ago that if your mind's not in the game the entire day, trying to figure out where you need to be, or doing the proper things, then you're gonna be, you can't just put your feet up and just go somewhere. You got to be, your mind has to be, and if you're thinking about getting a camera shot, it kind of takes away from what you're trying to do, and you can't do one without the other, you know?
No, and it's all who's on the fish, how many boats are close by, am I in the fleet, am I not in the fleet, do I have to worry about, I don't know, there's just a lot to it, and I can talk to you about it. I need to make sure my trim tabs are up, so when I'm backing down, I'm up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things that go into the whole production. It's like, and I get there, go, have I brought my tabs up? Say, hold on, yeah, so you're always just, you're trying to do everything. You're looking at the monitors, you're eyeballing the next bite. I'm trying to give direction. The stuff I get when we are hooked up and I'm running the boat isn't very good, although I have gotten some pretty unique shots. I got it. So this one day, and this is so typical, this is a day where we haven't caught anything. However, off the bow, there was a free jumping sailfish. And man, I pulled up on this thing. I kept pushing him, but he just kept jumping. I ended up getting some amazing shots from the helm, through my curtains that were open, with the bow on the front, and this sailfish jumping. We didn't catch any sailfish that day, but I was on cloud nine because I was like, man, I got like 10 great sailfish shots. But those are the kind of stuff you end up coming back with. Or I'll see some bait balls and I'll see something moving. I'll catch some flying fish. But I don't know. It's a great camaraderie. It's a great brotherhood. I do love it. I love that the work ends up in great places. And I don't know. I love it. I would do it if I were rich. I would do it if I were poor. I would do it. I'd always beg for a ride. I just love being out there. There's nothing better.
Yeah, man.
And the older I get, the younger at heart I still want to be. I will never be begrudgingly getting up at 3 to go. I get up excited and I just enjoy it. You just never know. I love watching that sun come up over the horizon. I love that first cough of diesel fuel when the engines start. It's a cool thing. It's a great thing. Passion is there, and I love getting around guys that he's passionate about running the boat. He's passionate about catching them. This guy just likes talking about it. And you hear the craziest stories all day long. It adds up, man. It's insane. Really great group of people to be with, and it's a small world. It's a small world, and it's just awesome.
Super small. So, well, cool. On that note, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for this. And
thank
for
you, Harry.
For the viewers that have bought my work and support me and follow my social media, thank you. It's a labor of love. I enjoy it, and I just hope to see you all online soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Harry. We appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. All right,
Thanks.
man.